is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I am your host, Brad, joined by my co-host, Carrie.
What's up?
It's going to be a fun week this week if you are a nerd, as I am, about the business of the video game business, because the Apple Epic trial started this week, and some of the things that we're learning are wild and crazy, and we're going to talk about it later in the show. It's what we call a tease in business. Let us start with Carrie, who has been playing copious Monster Hunter Rise, I assume.
Yeah.
And also Pokemon Snap.
Yeah. I'll start with Monster Hunter Rise. So last week, the first big title update for Monster Hunter Rise released. It added 3 new Elder Dragons, a new event quest. It unlocked the Hunter rank. So now you can flex your Hunter rank on all the homies. Most importantly, though, it added back my boy Basil Juice. They did not talk about Basil at all in the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like, hey, Teostra's coming back, Kushala is coming back, Chameleos is coming back. How neat. And then like you load the game up and Basil starts like showing up in quests, and they snuck that motherfucker back in there, and I am delighted. So yeah, I mean, Monster Hunter Rise continues to be really good. There's definitely plenty of things to do, and we're getting another title update at the end of this month as well. So lots of stuff. Oh, they also added Apex Rathalos and Apex Diablos. Haven't bothered with Apex Diablos yet because like regular Diablo still kind of scares the shit out of me. So I'm not trying to fight like a powered up version of him quite yet. But yeah, look, if you haven't played Monster Hunter before, Rise is a great jumping in point, especially so early in its life cycle as it is right now on Switch. And other than that, I've been playing Pokemon Snap, and Pokemon Snap has one note. But boy, does it do that one note really, really, really well. Yeah, like even feeling like it's a bit of a grind to like unlock new areas and stuff like that. Like it's a little grindy at times, but like it never feels like I'm wasting my time. It never feels like I'm not getting anywhere. There's always like a new thing that I haven't seen before. There's always new stuff to explore. Yeah, God, Pokemon Snap is so good. Pokemon Snap is a good thing for like, all right, cool, I've got like 15 minutes to kill. I'm gonna like run a stage in Pokemon Snap real quick and see what I can see. Whereas like a hunt in Monster Hunter Rise, it's like still probably taking like 20 minutes to a half hour,
yeah,
at least, for some of the higher level shit right now. But Pokemon Snap is like delightful. It is wholesome. The game looks beautiful. It plays very straightforward. It plays basically how the old one played, where it's like it's an on-rail shooter, except rather than shooting bullets, you're shooting photographs. So
very
if
cool.
you liked the old one, you should definitely pick up the new one.
So I've been playing 2 games this week as well. I touched briefly on Warframe last week, and I played a lot of Warframe over the past week. And that game, I mentioned it briefly that the game doesn't do a good job of onboarding you onto the process. But man, once you fight through that, it's a lot of fun things to do. Now, those typically revolve around the same like 10 to 15 like mission types that you're just kind of running over and over again. And the thing also about Warframe is that the gains are much further spread out. It's actually probably more akin to Monster Hunter in a lot of ways, because I think people's automatic comparison would be to Destiny, but it's not like Destiny, because Destiny, you're getting guns and armor thrown at you like it's candy constantly, and it's just about finding like the right rolled stuff. In this game, the weapons have to be built, like they have to be forged. So like you're not farming for the guns themselves, you're farming for like blueprints and materials and things of that nature. And it really encourages you to use the same weapon for a long period of time, because each weapon has like an affinity, and as you level it up, you can put more and more powerful mods on it, which can kind of give it a unique feel. And you can create not only multiple loadouts per warframe, which is kind of like your class, but you can create multiple loadouts per weapon as well. And then like when you max rank a weapon, because you have like this overall mastery rank, which is like your level, then you're encouraged to switch to a new weapon so that you can start with a low level weapon and level that up, so that you're constantly progressing this mastery rank. And that has kind of shown the promise of the game. And there's just so much shit, because they've been doing this game for 8 years. There's so many things thrown in it. There's like a flight like mini game that you can do that you have to like get a forge for, and there's a thing called a railjack that is a 4-man crew that you're taking on like space missions with 3 other players, and each of you has like a responsibility on the ship that you got to do. And as you progress further in the game, like the story beats start to emerge and they get a lot more interesting, and they have like the different guilds. They also have like already my favorite faction system in any game that I've ever seen, because there's like 6 factions in the game, right? And you can pledge to any of them, and when you wear their, paraphernalia on missions, you get, rank with them, and that will give you like special things you can unlock. But each faction has like an allied faction, and they also have an enemy, like 2 enemy factions as well. So while you're gaining your main rank with this one faction, you also gain rank with the allied faction, but you gain negative rank with their enemy factions. And as you level those factions down, you get like things like thrown at you by those factions. Like they go out into the world to like try to attack you and stuff like that as you're completing missions and things of that nature. So that's really interesting. Gives you really, makes you think about which faction you want to pledge to. And then like if you try to go to this other faction, like if you try to boost your rank up with them to try to get in their good graces, it's going to lower it somewhere else. So you're kind of spinning all these plates with the faction minigame. So Warframe's really good. Like I said, so much to do in the game just for free. And it's pretty solid. And then Returnal came out, and boy howdy, is Returnal better than it has any reason to be. Okay. What a game Returnal is. So Returnal is the first like AAA caliber game from Housemarque, who is famous for putting out like a ton of arcade games that are beloved, like Super Stardust HD and Resogun and Dead Nation and others. And this was like a departure from that, and people weren't really sure what it is, or what it was going to be. But it really is like a Housemarque game. Like it's a bullet hell third-person shooter that also happens to be a roguelike game where you're running through these different rooms. The story is given to you through breadcrumbs, which is a really interesting way to tell it. Like you get a little bit extra of the lore as you go along. It's about progressing through these different biomes. It is truly a roguelike because you don't get permanent upgrades for your character as you go through the game. What you do get is you get permanent like glyphs and stuff like that. So it's lore that you're learning. After you finish a biome, you never have to fight that biome's boss again if you don't want to. Like you can always just go to the portal to the next biome.
Okay.
And as soon as you get into the next biome, you get a consumable that basically levels you up to what you need to be for that biome, so that the next weapon you get will be competitive in there. The weapons don't change. Like you have the same pistol every time you start a new run, and there's certain weapons you get, but obviously as you go through the game, you unlock more options for them. And as you use each weapon, you'll unlock perks that are permanent on the gun. So like when you level up like a heavy magazine perk on the pistol, every future iteration of the pistol will have that perk on it. And each weapon has 4 different perks that you can get for it that you have to unlock by actually using the gun. And then there's different artifacts that you'll randomly get during the run, and you can unlock additional of those using the only permanent currency that carries over from run to run. The game feels so good. Like it really feels like a Housemarque game. Their games always control spectacularly. The locomotion in the game is great. Someone said that it reminds them, like the movement reminds them of like the first person Metroid games, and I can definitely see where they're coming from with that. The gunplay is great, and it is truly an old school game in that you have to learn how to play the game better. Like the game, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, it's brutally difficult." It's not more brutally difficult than like a Souls game would be, or like a Mega Man game used to be back in the day. It's difficult when you first encounter enemies and you don't know how their attacks work and what patterns, their attacks come out in, and that sort of thing. But as you encounter the enemy more and more, you anticipate better, you're able to strategize a little bit better, you get smarter about what weapons are most effective against which enemy, and you have to be careful of that because you can only carry one weapon at a time. So it's not like you can just carry a whole arsenal with you that you can switch to the best gun based on the given situation. But like enemies that gave me a major problem that would take away like 3/4 of my life in early runs are now like no problem, that I'm just like murking with 3 shots basically, because I learned, how, like, when to use my alt fire and things of that nature as well. It's a really damn good game. It's gorgeous. The audio design is great. It uses the haptic feedback in the controller better than any other AAA game has so far. Astros is still better, but Astros was literally designed around that as a concept.
Astros is a tech demo for the controller.
Right. It is literally a tech demo for the controller. But Returnal definitely does it best. Like I said, my one bit of skepticism about the game going into it was the $70 price tag. And so far, in like 7 hours that I played, thus far, it is definitely justified that price point, because I wasn't expecting a game that had this kind of like arcade proclivity to live up to that, but it's been really fucking good so far, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I see a lot of folks hemming and hawing about wanting a save feature. I understand that. Runs do like a decent run will take you anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour or more, depending on how far you progress, and
yeah, that's tough.
It is tough
to like start a run and like be doing really well, and to have something come up and to not be able to like do anything about it.
Right, like you can pause the game, but that's about it. Apparently Housemarque said that like their response to the community was about a save feature, like, hey, we hear you. So that usually means that it's something that
they're probably working on now.
Right. But yeah, if you were skeptical about Returnal, it's really good. I would highly recommend checking it out. I did post on the Dense Pixels YouTube channel, youtube.com/densepixels, the first hour and 15 minutes of my experience with Returnal. I wanted to stream it, but my stream audio was having issues, which I hope to have resolved. So you should see me on Twitch, hopefully soon, playing Returnal. So it's Twitch. What is my damn Twitch? Dense Pixels Brad. That's my Twitch name. So if you go to Twitch, you can follow me there. And of course, if you're in the Dense Pixels Discord, densepixels.com/fans, we have a dedicated channel to announcing streams and stuff like that. So you can check that out there as well. So that's what we have been playing. Let's talk about what you might be playing. Not Carrie, but like the royal you.
The royal you.
The royal you listeners this week. So first of all, PlayStation has announced their PlayStation Plus free games for the month of May. For PS5, you have Wreckfest, which I've heard good things about. Wreckfest is basically like a demolition derby racing game. It's made by the folks who made the Flatout series, which I know had its following of fans, and there's online multiplayer, and they're getting their PS5 edition, and it's coming out on PS5 free. Notably, if you have a PS4, you do not get Wreckfest for free. So just keep that in mind as you go. Only PS5 version is free. If you do have a PS4, though, don't worry. You can get Battlefield 5 for free, as well as Stranded Deep, which I have to imagine is a game about stabbing octopi with a harpoon based on the cover image for the game. Actually, it looks like it's like a survival game if you were stranded after like a plane crash on an island.
So it's Castaway.
Yeah, it's Castaway the game, except that you don't have a volleyball that you're slowly, getting
that you have become emotionally dependent on.
Correct. Correct. So that's what's free if you have a PlayStation. As far as new release games that you actually have to pay money bucks for, Sairi: The Beginning comes to PC. Touhou Project 18 comes.
I want to talk about Toho
Unconnected
projects because
let's circle back around.
Okay.
Let's circle back around. The Colonist comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Skate City comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And finally, get your big woman fantasies dialed up to
those big mommy milkers are about to be released unto the world.
Right. Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8 Village, or Resident Evil 8age, however you want to say it, comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So why do you want to talk about Touhou Project 18?
Because Touhou Project is a series that I used to be very into and I used to be very good at. This is the first time that a mainline Touhou Project game has just been released on Steam for it's $15. You can just go on Steam. It's not available in English yet. So it's like all of the dialogue is in Japanese. So I mean, if you can read hiragana, great. If not, good luck. The menus are all in English, so that's fine. You know, you're not going to have to guess as far as what you're doing. But yeah, like I've played Touhou since about 2007. And I was really into it for a few years and I was very good at it. And one of my friends was like, oh, you can just buy the new Touhou on Steam. And I was like, what the fuck? Because you used to have to go to like a sketchy corner of the internet and like pirate the game and then go to a different sketchy corner of the internet to apply like an English translation patch to it in order to like make it playable.
You couldn't even go to like a Play Asia or something like that to get it like a legit copy?
I mean, because they're Dojin games. So like they were only ever released at like Comiket. So like buying them off of an import site, like you're probably paying, you know, 3 or 4 times retail price just to like import it to the United States to play it legitimately. And now it's just like, cool, legit $14.99 on Steam. Boop, done. Like I played around earlier. I am not good at that game anymore. I wiped on stage 5 on easy mode and I was like, maybe I'll start playing Touhou again more regularly. But yeah, I just think that's neat. As a longtime Touhou fan, that, you know, it's now more accessible than ever before. So that's kind of cool.
Not related. I forgot to bring this up when I talked about Returnal. Returnal also does like the shittiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So basically on Returnal, everyone that's on your friends list that's also playing Returnal, like whenever they die, your PlayStation app on your phone like notifies you like where they were when they died, essentially. So like Steve in the fan group was pissed off because I got to like the second biome before he did, and it was like letting him know that I was dying. But I understand because I have a friend who's further than me, and I get really upset too when I see that he died, but he's like 1 or 2 biomes ahead of me as well. And so it's a weird like progress envy thing that you have with your friends. Like, oh, these motherfuckers, like, why am I getting my ass kicked and they're able to fucking progress through this fucking game? God damn it, bastards. So,
I don't know. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it encourages you to get back in. You're like, I'm gonna murder this boss. Like, I'm gonna fucking take this thing down. The bosses in the game, by the way, dicks. Because if you didn't notice, so one thing they do that what's really cool is that all the enemies like in the biome, the boss kind of uses all of their attacks combined. So like you get trained on what the boss is gonna do, even though you don't realize it. But the boss is a 3-phase boss fight. So like everyone gets excited the first, like when they first face Frike, who's the first boss, and they whittle her health bar down to nothing. And they're like, yeah, I fucking killed her. And then it just, you know, zips right back up again. Much like the first time I fought Hades in Hades, I did not realize that it was a 2-stage boss battle because no boss battle had been to that point. I got really happy when I won with like a sliver of health left, and then he was back to
surprise, bitch. Yeah. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
So well, Carrie, Micah's not here this
Micah's week, so not here.
That you have to do the ad reads.
Wow. Fortunately, I'm good at words.
Unlike Micah.
If you want to chat with fellow gamers as well as chat with us, you should find us on Discord. The Discord is now live for not just Dense Pixels, but for most of the other Nerdpocalypse network shows. So head to densepixels.com/fans to head to our Discord. If you've been in our Facebook group and you haven't made the jump to Discord yet, you should jump to Discord because most of us aren't using Facebook anymore. Meanwhile, you can also find us on YouTube. So head to youtube.com/densepixels, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified when new episodes go live, or, when Brad posts footage of him playing video games, which was a delightful surprise to see in my feed. You can see Brad and my shining pale faces. I actually had to change my shirt because my shoulders are so sunburned, and I didn't want that to live on the internet forever.
So when I use the auto white balance on my camera, I was also like way pale. So I was like, let's bump the Kelvin level up a little bit to make this a little bit more representative.
Yeah,
looking. So
I was out this weekend in the sun, and I made the once a year mistake that I make, which is the first time it's really nice and you go outside and you forget that the sun is hot and will give you skin cancer if you're not careful. So I got extra crispy this weekend. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe to all of the TNP Studios podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. So that includes the Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, and Coming Distractions, as well as the weekly preview episode of Look Forward. But you can also pay $5 a month or $50 for the year to subscribe to our premium content, and that gives you access to the full premium slate of shows, including the airing of Grievances, which I think is ending sometime soon.
Not as soon as you would think. They still have like 2.5 seasons.
Oh wow, okay.
So
the way Micah talks about it is he's just like counting down the days.
He can see the finish line, and it'll be easy to get through those last seasons because those are like some of the most irreverent but also hilarious episodes of the show. So
yeah, I personally haven't really watched a whole lot of Seinfeld. So I was in the room when my mom would watch Seinfeld. That was about it. You can also catch up on No Time to Bleed, as well as The Men with the Golden Tongues. Brad, I'm sure a new episode of that is forthcoming.
Planned. And it will be of particular relevance to listeners of this podcast.
Ooh. So. Upstage Conversation, which is my movie musicals podcast. That should also be... we have planned an episode.
Yes.
Hope to have another episode out in the next couple of weeks. Plus, you can get full episodes of the Look Forward Political podcast, which often features Brad. So,
yes. So, like I mentioned, lots of business news this week. The first of which talks, most of it centers on Epic Games. First of which talks about Microsoft tangentially related to Epic, though. So, Microsoft has decided that any of the games that they sell on the Windows Store will now have an 88-12 split in favor of revenue going to developers. This, of course, is an improvement for developers from the 70-30 split that's been the industry standard. Of course, Epic famously rolled out an 88-12 split when they launched the Epic Game Store about a year and a half ago. And they have been putting a lot of pressure on the PC marketplace to kind of follow suit. Steam, of course, made their developer revenue split more generous, but not quite as generous as 88-12. But Microsoft is keeping up with the Joneses here. Notably, they are not changing the 70-30 split on Xbox consoles. And they state that console manufacturers need the game revenue to offset subsidies that they offer for hardware for that business to be viable. And Epic hasn't tried to attack that revenue split either, but again, a lot more on them later in the show. This is a pretty big move by Microsoft, I think. I can't imagine, like, of the three biggest platforms for PC gaming, that Windows Store is competitive right now with Steam and Epic Game Store. So I can understand why they're doing this. Plus, as we've mentioned, Microsoft really wants you to get Xbox Gold or Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So they could probably care less about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. I mean, I think this is good for the industry at large. So anything to benefit the devs, really.
Epic Games also has said that they do not want Fortnite to be available via the new xCloud cloud gaming service for Microsoft. This is a quote coming from Joe Kreiner, who is the boss at Epic Games, saying that, quote, we viewed Microsoft efforts with xCloud to be competitive with our PC offerings. I understand this as well. So like if you are using xCloud on a mobile device, Fortnite or Epic Games would much rather you play the native version of Fortnite on that device, which, you know, right now is a little difficult with the whole lawsuit that's going on at the moment. But I totally understand why they would fight to prevent this from happening. Whether or not they have a leg to stand on with it, I don't really know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I can see what they're saying, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on with Epic this week.
Well, like I said, it's not going to stop.
No.
Some surprising news came out from Sony this week, where they have said that they have purchased a minority stake into Discord, and they are working on integrating Discord into the PlayStation platform sometime early next year, both on console and on mobile. It's not mentioned in the blog post from Jim Ryan that announced this, but I have to imagine that the TNP Studios migration to Discord is finally what pushed Sony over the edge and said, you know what, we need to start taking this Discord platform pretty seriously. And that's what spurred this on. So it caused them to spend millions of dollars in order to get on the platform.
I mean, this is super cool. Discord, particularly during the pandemic, has been such a boon for social activities. Like I've been doing group watches on Discord because it's so easy to just like click share screen. So like everyone can just watch what I'm watching. Super easy to stream games to Discord. So to be able to stream PlayStation games directly into Discord, so you can just hang out and chat with your friends while you're doing it. Like, dope. Cool. Looking forward to it.
And I mean, a lot of the folks, you guys listening, have asked us to possibly look into doing like community plays and stuff like that now. Like when this rolls out, that makes it super easy. Like one of the things that was announced this week during the Ratchet and Clank State of Play was that Among Us is coming to PS4 and PS5 this year, which I assume that Among Us was already on PlayStation, so that came as a surprise to me.
Yeah, like can we talk about that just as a quick aside? Like it's not on our docket, but like they had this State of Play and they called it a State of Play. But it was really like 12 minutes of new Ratchet and Clank footage and them also being like, hey, new Subnautica, hey, Among Us is coming to PS5. It's like, why did you call it a State of Play? Why didn't you just like...
They announced that in advance, though, that it would be primarily focused on...
Right, but like, why did you call it a State of Play?
Because that's what they call those presentations. Like I think they're just...
When it's only going to be 3 games and one of those games takes up 90% of your presentation.
It was the State of Play of the Ratchet and Clank series. Ratchet and Clank also coming to Among Us. So there you go.
I guess. I thought it was overblown. I thought that was...
But no, like that would make it super easy to be able to have those and things of that nature. I'm actually very excited about this, and it also kind of shows that Sony is pretty serious about crossplay, despite very slowly dipping their toe into that water when it first started rolling out. That's an encouraging sign as well. Nothing but good news here. I hope that other platforms are working on similar kind of things.
Yep.
Also, speaking of Sony, some news that was kind of surprising that's going to excite a great many people. Sony has registered a trademark for Sunset Overdrive. So you'll recall that Sunset Overdrive, developed by Insomniac Games, however, it was a Xbox One exclusive. It was a launch title or not a launch title, but shortly after launch title when the console came out.
I would consider that launch window.
Launch window. That's fine. However, Insomniac, now a Sony first-party studio, kept the IP when they broke off from Microsoft. So basically, while Microsoft does retain the publishing rights for the first game on console, either you could see a sequel for Sunset Overdrive on PlayStation platforms, or in addition to that, you could also see the original game coming to PlayStation in some sort of publishing agreement with Microsoft. We've seen this before with the first Mass Effect game, which Microsoft had the publishing rights to, but it did end up on Sony eventually. Yep. The first Mass Effect was a Microsoft Game Studios game. Who did not know that?
I was not paying attention.
But also more recently with the emergence of MLB The Show on the Xbox platform. So the walls and the walled garden seem to be getting some cracks in the foundation.
It appears that the walls are becoming shorter every day. So
what a brave new world we're living in.
It's interesting. I mean, it certainly raises questions about the sort of the continued value of console exclusives. I think you're still going to see a ton of console exclusives for Sony, just because you have a lot of Japanese developers that simply aren't interested in developing for Microsoft, because Xbox is still not really a viable console in Japan. So why would they bother? And Nintendo's, I don't think, ever going to let any of their first party IP show up on another console. But I don't know. This to me just goes to show, like, man, as far as first party like exclusive stuff for Xbox, they really just have Halo. And
well, for now, there's promise of all these things in development, and I mean, technically, also now the Bethesda catalog of games are now first party games for all intents and purposes. So, ish. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I don't think they're going to be exclusives though.
Yeah, and it's funny because it took a long time to get here, but I think that the companies are kind of waking up to the fact that a healthy, vibrant game ecosystem is best for everybody, and like we can all just kind of put our hands around each other and sing Kumbaya and just make a shitload of money, like just working not together, but not antagonistically, not against each other either.
Sure. Yeah. I still think there is an inherent value to each one having like exclusives, because it's like, I bought a PlayStation over an Xbox because I know PlayStation is going to have more exclusive games that I'm going to want to play. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this sort of topic plays out in the next few years, for sure.
So shifting gears here, you may recall about 5 months ago, we talked about a story on the show where a SWAT, like a bomb threat or mass shooting threat, I don't remember what it is.
I think it was a bomb threat.
That sounds right. Was called into Ubisoft's Montreal studios, which is just a weird thing that happened one day, and no one really knew what was going on, and no one really knew what was going on even in the aftermath of what was happening. But it was a pretty scary situation. However, the Montreal police do have a prime suspect in the crime, and it happens to be a guy who has been banned from Rainbow Six Siege more than 80 times for cheating, and has been waging a campaign of harassment against not only the studio but other Rainbow Six Siege community players.
Why?
People are.
Why are men?
I mean, right.
Why are gamers like?
So here from the
this is someone who needs serious clinical help. One, because like no one who is in their right mind would consider threatening the Ubisoft Montreal staff, basically threatening them to terrorize them to death, demanding access to Rainbow Six and access to commands to ban other people, that he's engaged in swatting against other players. Like, this person needs to be put in an institution and evaluated and treated, because this is not someone who is mentally well. Like, this is the kind of person who eventually escalates into serious real world violence.
Yeah. I mean, in many ways, he already has. Like, SWAT,
I mean,
calling in a police SWAT team to a situation, we've seen how that's ended tragically in the past.
it has ended in people getting shot by police.
Right. So we've already seen like the ill effects of this happening. You can argue that is a violent.
Oh, it's violence. I guess I mean, like, this is the kind of person who eventually goes out and picks up the gun themselves rather than sending other people with guns.
Right. I mean, and this is the type of guy that this dude is. Like, he told the newspaper that was covering the story, he said, quote, "Normally just for the buzz, I would have said that it was I who sent the police to Ubisoft, but hey, now the buzz is zero." Like, so he's trying to deny the fact that he did it, but he, for the lulz, basically, is what he would have claimed responsibility for. So he says, again, he's denied having responsibility for this. But again, in the indictment, it does say that he threatened Ubisoft in a phone call. And, it comes down to the fact that he said, he wanted to unban their account because he had put over $1,500 in cosmetics into the game and things of that nature. Again, just a reminder, we said it a million times in the show before, just don't be a shitty person. Also, like, the dude would have never gotten banned if he hadn't been a fucking shitlord to begin with, and harass players and grief players and things of that nature as well. So yeah, it's unfortunate that people like that still exist in the space, but unfortunately it is what it is, and I hope that he gets everything that is coming to him. So we'll see what happens there. Carrie, I'm gonna need your help here with this story.
Okay.
Because our last story this week is about this like crazy resurgence, and I don't even, it's hard to even call it a resurgence because it's not like Pokemon TCG went away. Like, Pokemon has been the second most popular trading card game in the
after
world
Magic,
for years,
right, since 1998 basically.
Yeah, but for some reason, like, in the past several weeks, like, people are going crazy.
It's built up to this point,
right?
It's really hit a fever pitch, I would say, in the last 6 months. So the Vice article is, Target is prepared to call the cops on frantic Pokemon card hunters. Target has, I guess, been one of the key sellers of the Pokemon trading card game. And this most recent set, Shining Fates, like the market for Pokemon cards right now is just sort of bonkers, because you have people my age who grew up playing the card game. Really, like, I was playing Pokemon cards and sort of collecting Pokemon cards even before I had a Game Boy Color and was playing the video game. So you have people my age who are, let's say late 20s to mid 30s. So these are now people who have real jobs and disposable income, and who maybe had parents that made them get rid of their Pokemon cards when they were kids. And now they're like, well, I'm an adult and I'm feeling nostalgic, and I have expendable income. And I have expendable income now. So I'm going to go back and try and get the cards that I really liked as a kid. And then on top of that, largely thanks to the massive worldwide success of Pokemon Go, you have a generation of fans 20 years younger who are getting into the Pokemon card game for the first time. So it's this massive intersection, this intergenerational sort of surge of interest in the Pokemon trading card game that is leading to this explosion in popularity in the cards again. Even though, again, the cards never went away. They've always released new sets basically it's almost quarterly at this point, like a new expansion comes out.
It is literally quarterly, because when I
Yeah.
was at GameStop, we were carrying them as well. So I remember
Yeah.
every 3 months we would get the new boxes in. So
Look, I have all of my cards from when I was a kid because my dad's a sports memorabilia collector. So there was never any vibe in the house of like, oh, you have to get rid of collectibles. Like my hoarding was encouraged and is now paying off for me as an adult because I could sell 5 of my cards and put a down payment on a car. Like, because I kept everything in really good condition. I mean, that's part of the thing is like the vintage cards, those early sets, base set, jungle, fossil, Team Rocket, early shit in good condition, particularly if it's been graded. There's a whole other Vice story where fucking CGC is like so backed up by card grading demands for Pokemon specifically that they're just like, we don't know when we're going to get to it. We have to hire more people to grade cards because we literally do not have the manpower to grade all of this fucking cardboard. Yeah, it's wild. And it's like the new set release and everyone's going fucking bonkers over it because there's, you've got your chase cards and your rare shit. And it's like, it's just as it was fucking 25 years ago when people were trying to get the holographic Charizard. Like, the market it has exploded. I feel like there's always talk of like, oh, the bubble's going to burst. And like, eventually, a couple years from now, I'm sure things will die back down a little bit.
mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, you look at like heritage auctions or similar auction houses, and they are selling vintage Pokemon cards graded, a CGC gem mint, 10 or 9.8 on the grading scale, and they're selling for like $250,000. Like, it's nuts. Like, I don't have a single card that's worth that much, but like, again, I have a handful of cards that like if I needed money right away, I could sell them and like make a fuck ton of money.
I mean, are you tempted to do it while the tide is rising, I guess? So
I am not interested in making money off of my collection, at least not now. I have so much sentimental attachment to my collection, simply because, I've said it multiple times on the show. My parents would drop me off at Owings Mills Mall 3 days a week so that I could play Pokemon cards at the Wizards of the Coast store. I still have like my league book. I have the badges that I earned playing games and trading cards. I still have my decks that are like still intact. For me, like the cards are more valuable to me as far as their representation of positive childhood memories rather than simple resale value. I have sold a handful of my cards before, but the stuff that I've sold has all been like duplicates. I'm not getting rid of anything. Like I still have such a sense memory of like buying my first pack of Pokemon cards at the mall and like opening it up and like knowing exactly what cards were in that pack and whatnot. So for me, like I'm too attached to the nostalgia of Pokemon trading cards that I don't know that I would ever be like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell my collection and make a fuck ton of money off of it. Like that's not me. I know people do that, but
I mean, if I wasn't playing the game, I would easily sell my collection for a fuck ton of money right now while there's a fuck ton of money.
I'm way too sentimental about my stuff.
But you're also a homeowner. So eventually, like in like 3 more years, your homeownership brain will intercede with like getting older, and then you become me, who's like, fuck sentiment. I've got too much shit, and I need to get rid of some stuff.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, there's having too much shit. Like I have too much shit already for sure, but like I ain't having kids, so it's not like I have to make room for other human beings in my house. But like Pokemon cards don't take up a ton of space either. No, like I have multiple binders,
deck box or binders or stuff.
Right, they maybe take up the size of my screen here. If I pile them on top of each other, it's one drawer worth of stuff. So
it's like I said, it's just wild to see like the frenzy around them, like Target's limiting people to like 1 tin per purchase, and they've got people lining up outside on restock days and things of that
wild.
nature as well, camping out overnight and calling the cops and this, that, or the other thing. And it's funny because like with Magic, I'm not surprised to see that. So like what you get on like Magic, like when the new Magic sets come out, is you'll see people that will go to their local game store and they'll have pre-ordered a couple like booster boxes and they'll literally sit there in the game store, open the packs, find like the rare cards that they already know are rare, literally like sell back the other cards to the game store for fucking nothing, and then use the money just to buy additional booster boxes to cut through and just find the very best cards, and not even for resale purposes. That's for deck constructing purposes, which is also wild to me as well. And it really does seem like in this specific endeavor for Pokemon, it is people trying to chase a buck. In a lot of ways, it doesn't feel like it's as much about developing for the game as it is about just chasing.
No, like the thing about the trading card game itself, and like I haven't played the game since 2002, 3, somewhere in there. My initial Pokemon trading card game experience was like I basically played and purchased through sort of the Gen 2 sets, and then I sort of stopped right as Gen 3 was starting to come out. All of my cards are vintage, which makes it worth a lot. But the thing about the game itself is that like it has experienced a continuous power creep. So you know, whereas there are certain modes of playing Magic the Gathering that will allow you to play with vintage cards, no problem, because those cards are still viable. There's no point in trying to do that with the Pokemon trading card game because nothing from even 2 or 3 years ago is worth anything in the contemporary meta. So it's a difficult game to keep up with if you're trying to play the game competitively. But this the market for the Pokemon trading card game is very much like people just trying to make a buck. But if you are into Pokemon or the Pokemon trading card game, you can stock up and give us a little bit of a kickback at densepixels.com/Amazon. There's plenty of Pokemon merchandise, including Pokemon trading cards, at densepixels.com/Amazon. You shop as normal. We get a little bit of a kickback, and everyone wins.
A seamless transition. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Professional. I love it. Our main stories to talk about this week are all about this Apple Epic case, and not even so much about the case itself, but just more about the fact finding that's happened as a result of the disclosure and testimony that's gone on in the trial so far. So Vice is streaming. They're one of the main channels, but they're the ones that I see. So Vice has a YouTube stream of that you can just literally listen to the goings-ons of the hearings if you want to throughout the day or afterwards. The first thing that they did, which is hilarious to me, so this is your typical regular society doesn't understand the impact of video games on the culture because they thought it would be fine. Like, this is a normal lawsuit between two big companies. So let's have an open conference call line that people can dial in on to listen to the trial. This is a pretty standard practice for this kind of stuff because like business reporters and things of that nature will listen into these hearings to be able to report on them. What they were not expecting were more than 200 people to dial in that realized that they actually could talk because they didn't mute everybody else on the line, which again, conference call 101, you got to do it. So all these people that were like Fortnite fans were coming in to be like, free Fortnite. And one guy said, literally said, I would suck all of you to get Fortnite mobile back. Basically on this conference call for this legal hearing. The clerks eventually figured out how the mute all version or feature works. But it took about 15 minutes for them to figure that out. Because I guess they didn't realize that fans of Fortnite would care to come on and listen to these things. But really shout for Apple to let Fortnite back on the store. Tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Nothing about that surprised me.
Tremendous. So here's the fact. So here's what we learned. So the first thing, and this is like I'm sad Mike is not on the show because he would fall out of his chair upon seeing this news. Fortnite generated $9.1 billion of revenue between 2018 and 2019. And if you're wondering how that equates to profit for Epic Games, that's about $5.4 billion of profit with a B in 2018 alone, and $3.7 billion of profit in 2019. So that's wild. So that and again, so that 9.1 billion is oh, I'm sorry, that was the revenue breakdown. They said that they made $5.5 billion of profit across the 2 years. So about, a little bit more than 120% of their costs, essentially, coming back to them in profit. Pretty good. And if you think, wow, that's a lot of money, also now consider that despite not being on the Apple or Google Play stores for pretty much half the year, they still brought in $5.1 billion of profit in 2020. Now that's profit across all of Epic Games, but the Epic Games Store actually runs at a loss for Epic. So it's not contributing anything to the bottom line. And their other games are pretty minimal aside from Fortnite in terms of what they're actually bringing into the company.
Right. I feel like that resurgence in 2020, largely due to the pandemic, because you probably had a lot of people who had stopped playing Fortnite, ended up furloughed and sitting at home with nothing better to do, and went, "Oh, I guess I'll play Fortnite."
100%. In June 2020, Epic said that Fortnite had 80 million monthly active users and 350 million player accounts. I just 350 million player accounts, like that's literally if everyone in the United States of America had a Fortnite account, that would still not be the total amount of Fortnite accounts that exist in the world today.
Yeah.
That's gobsmackingly insane amounts of money and users and all sorts of things. And again, like that sounds like a lot of people not playing Fortnite, but you guys have to understand, like a game retaining like Warframe, I'll just throw out as an example, has like over, I think they said they have over 20 million accounts, but they usually have around 1 million to 1.5 million monthly active users. Like retaining, what is that, 20%, I guess, of your account base, a little less.
Yeah,
that's a very high number. Very, very high number. Almost half of this revenue that Epic is bringing in from Fortnite is coming exclusively from PlayStation, which also, again, is a wild statistic to see. Really shows the market share dominance of PlayStation 4 in the marketplace, even over PC. Not as far as PCs being out there, but just in terms of like the game market, that people are using it at. So that's a pretty good indicator. Might also describe why Sony was able to dictate terms in terms of crossplay with Fortnite. According to Tim Sweeney of Epic Games, Epic actually has to pay Sony for the right to have crossplay in Fortnite. So that's pretty crazy as well. Again, the details are not disclosed as far as how much money Epic is forking over, but if PlayStation's generating half the revenue, guess that might explain why they're willing to kick that over. This is the most shocking story to me on many fronts. So let's first kind of ease into the story. So for the first time ever, because of the disclosure in this case, we're getting a peek behind the curtain of just what do store platforms pay to developers to get exclusivity, to be able to give their game away for free. Like, what are developers seeing from that, and how is it really benefiting? So we have this full list of all of the games that the Epic Game Store has given away for free and how much they've paid out to developers and what that's done for Epic Games. So as an example, Subnautica was given away for free for some time on the Epic Game Store. Over 4.5 million users downloaded the game on the Epic Game Store, which led to Subnautica developers getting $1.4 million from the Epic Game Store. And you might say to yourself, that doesn't sound like a lot of money. You have to remember the Subnautica team is a super small studio. Like $1.4 million is a fuck ton of money to them. I don't know how that translates to what they would have gotten in revenue, but they probably wouldn't have gotten 4.5 million downloads as a
right. Plus,
what,
with Subnautica Below Zero coming out, like that, like having that many people download the game then generates interest for the sequel, which then generates into more revenue.
Absolutely.
On the sequel.
Absolutely. And what it did for Epic Games is it got them 800,000 new accounts on the Epic Game Store. If you break that down to a cost per account basis, they only paid $1.74 for every new account that came onto their platform as a result of giving away Subnautica for free. It's enormous. Like, any company would like to see that ROI.
Yeah, that's what you call lead generation.
Yes.
And as someone who now works in marketing, there is really nothing more important than lead generation and then being able to retain those leads. Now, like basically once someone has an Epic account, like that's it, they're in, like and then they can now be sort of marketed directly to by Epic or by other developers, which then leads to presumably them buying more games and spending more money. So that dollar and change per account is almost assured to come back.
And again, you see varying degrees of success here. So like a game like, so Inside, for example, was also made available for free on there. They paid Playdead $800K to get it on there. It brought it had 2.7 million downloads, but it only brought about a little less than 72,000 new accounts to the platform. Now, this of course happened much later after Subnautica. Like, Subnautica was the first game they ever gave away for free. That drove a huge amount of folks to the store. So in that case, like for Inside, they were actually paying like $11 per account generally. That's not a great, ROI. But so this list is really interesting. There's a ton of games. Celeste also didn't do a great job in driving people to the platform. For Honor, they paid almost nothing to get on the Epic Game Store, only 63 grand, but it got them 118,000 new users for 53 cents per account generated, which is outstanding. Overcooked also did a great job for them. Mutant Year Zero was another top driver. Slime Rancher. So there's a lot of games that came out that drove a lot of folks, and especially early on, you saw a lot of success. Like, it really took until mid 2019 when the store had been open for about 6 months before you didn't really see a strong return on investment there. The jaw-droppingly shocking amount was the $146 million that Epic paid to 2K Games to get a 6-month exclusivity for Borderlands 3 on the Epic Game Store before it released on Steam. Now, this was a deal that was not just for Borderlands 3. It also was incorporating Borderlands Handsome Collection being sold on the Epic Game Store, as well as Civilization. There's a bundle that they put out as well for Civ 6 that was part of this too. But again, that's $146 million to get the game exclusively for
6 months,
a year. Perhaps more staggering than that statistic is that Epic made back $110 million in the first 2 weeks and brought 750,000 new users to the Epic Games Store because of Borderlands 3.
That's the business, baby. Like, I don't even know if I would consider that staggering. Like 146 million feels like a lot of money for a 6 months exclusivity contract.
Yeah.
But a game that was so anticipated as Borderlands 3, obviously it was worth it. You know, Epic made back almost all of that money in the first 2 weeks. And by adding that many, 750,000 new accounts to the Epic Games Store means that those people are probably also going to then, even if a third of those people spend a little extra money on the game store, all of that $146 million is back at that point, and then you're golden, So
yeah, like if you just are looking at revenue, like if let's say that, like you said, a third of them, so 250,000 people spent $20 at any point on the Epic Game Store, like that is still another $6.5 million that you're generating in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they spent $25. That's it. If they bought another full price game, double that.
Right.
And that's just if a third stay around. Like once you get them, you're not likely to lose them. And that was the big worry that they had, is that it's hard to get people to migrate away from Steam, because like Steam is where my stuff is, like Steam is where my community is. But once you're on a platform, it becomes a lot easier then, especially if they're running deals, especially if they're, like giving away other games for free that you might be interested to play. It goes to show you what could be made from there. Like I said, I just found this peek behind the curtain, something that we've never really gotten about this type of stuff, to just be relentlessly fascinating. Because as I've talked about on the show before, I'm a big nerd about the business of the video game business, and if you see this kind of money being thrown around for stuff like this, like just kind of imagine what Sony and Microsoft is thrown out there. Like, how much did Sony pay Psyonix to get Rocket League for free on PlayStation when it first released on console? How much are these exclusive deals costing if they're not a first party game? How much did Microsoft pay Square for Outriders? Like, if Borderlands 3 is Borderlands 3, and they're not going to get anywhere in the neighborhood of $146 million, but did they pay $20 million? Did they pay $25 million? Like who knows what this stuff is? I really wish this stuff was available for public consumption. So what we need to do is we need to sue Sony and Microsoft for some hackneyed, ginned up reason. And when we go to court and the judge is like, why are you suing these guys? We could just say, look, we just wanted to go through disclosure so we can look at financials to report on it because we're fascinated by it. That's it. We're dropping the lawsuit now that we have this stuff disclosed. So there you go. We moved to the post office. Again, if you are in our Discord group, deadspixels.com/fans, you can go to the post office channel and submit your questions literally whenever you want, just like Daniel did, where he said, if the Dense Pixels TNP network crew were stuck in a house together for quarantine, everything you ever needed to deliver could be delivered to you, but you can't leave the premises. Who goes insane first?
Probably me, from having to put up with y'all.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. 100%.
Like, not from being inside all the time, but just having to put up with like this crew's particular brand of bullshit. I'm good to stay inside. Like, that ain't a problem. I'm looking forward to staying inside for the next month and a half after these cicadas come out.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on the cicadas. Are you kidding me? Like, we're coming out of a pandemic but you're making me deal with cicada apocalypse?
Right, like we're trying to end one plague as another is beginning.
Right. Those of you that so those that are listening might not realize that I do suffer from some like mild anxiety and stuff like that. And I tell you this, I never did until the cicada outbreak of
Until the last one?
of 2003. Yes. That was the worst experience of my life. I hate bugs. I don't like being around them, and giant bugs who are around you in the hundreds of thousands who make a tremendous amount of noise.
They just scream.
Are just the worst. Just the absolute worst. I don't understand why they need to come up. Just stay buried in the fucking ground. No one likes you. You're useless. You don't do anything. Go away.
I'm looking forward to seeing some really fat birds though. Like that's it. Like I look, if you listen to this show, you know Brad and I live in the greater Baltimore area. So we are in the epicenter of the Brood X, the 17-year cicada explosion that we are currently sitting on the precipice of. They are due out any fucking day now. And I gotta tell you, I am not excited. I was going to plant a really nice vegetable garden. Then I was like, you know what? What's the point in doing that? Because like I'm not going to want to go outside for one, and two, the cicadas are just going to eat it. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just not having a garden this year.
At my office, the front of the office is lined with many trees spaced out equidistant apart from each other. And if you don't think that I'm going to be running from my car to the office door every day and back again, you do not know me very well. And I've never been more happy to live in a townhome community with like no trees or bushes in my general vicinity.
Do you want to have a look out this window here real quick? Do you want to have a look at all these motherfucking trees?
No. Just take a missile loaded with napalm and fire it into the woods and burn that shit down to the ground before they come out, because you will go deaf from listening to those fucking things screaming.
I live next to woods. Like, yeah.
No, I feel for you. I'm sorry. If you need to hunker down, you're welcome to come over and hide out from the cicada plague that's about to befall us.
I'm fully vaccinated, so like I feel pretty comfortable.
As am I. As of yesterday, I am not only fully vaccinated but also fully inoculated. So we are good to go.
I'll be fully inoculated as of tomorrow, I think. Yeah. So yeah.
So the Haitian Michael asks thoughts on WWE bringing back Ava Marie. I had none yet because she hasn't done anything yet. So we'll see if she can actually wrestle now that she's back into the mix. So we'll have more on that later on. Rev asks if there's a classic wrestling game from the 90s or early aughts that you'd like to see remade with the same roster, modes with a couple of new add-ons like announcers of those eras and such. What games would you like to be remade? The only answer to this is the Aki THQ games on N64. From
I was gonna say, like
100%. Give me a No Mercy remake with modern graphics and
WCW versus NWO World Tour.
Not World Tour. No.
Revenge.
Yes. Yeah, Revenge. We can do that. Not so much WrestleMania 2000, but yes, absolutely. No Mercy for sure.
So. I definitely have some very distinct memories of playing WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. So I wouldn't mind revisiting those. I wouldn't mind buying an old cart and just playing that game today. I've got an N64 in the basement.
Yeah, I honestly it's one of the few things I wish I still had for an N64 for is to play those games, because I still had Revenge when I had my N64, and they're very good. A lot of great memories. A lot of great memories from those. Mad Coco asks, with Vinny Carvella, Brad Shoemaker, and Alex Navarro all posting their notice of leaving Giant Bomb after a decade plus, is the gaming journalist landscape changing again if names from back in the day are leaving? So here is the thing with the gaming journalist landscape, is that because of things like Patreon, because of things like you're not seeing in gaming as much, but you're seeing this in the regular news media with like Substack and things of that nature. You don't have to rely on a big media outlet anymore to be very successful in this industry. It's easier than ever to engage with your audience through YouTube, through Twitch, and things of that nature as well. You see it most prominently with like the Kind of Funny crew, as like the prime example of success, leaving IGN and developing a huge platform that's been uber successful. You've seen it with like Alana Pierce, who's gone and struck out on her own and done her own thing, and now she's working for, I believe, Naughty Dog as a writer, which is super interesting. So yeah, it's funny because Giant Bomb was kind of that before, you know, but before they became Giant Bomb, essentially. So yeah, I think you're going to see that more and more. The people that have the biggest followings and the highest like chance of success, once they have kind of built up that recognition and that following, why wouldn't you strike out on your own? You're going to make more money. It's certainly a higher degree of risk because you don't have like a safety net of a large company, but also by the same time, large companies have to be profit driven. So you're more likely to run into like layoffs and things of that nature in those spaces as well. We've seen IGN do that for sure. So yeah, I'd be interested to get your takes on this too, because obviously this is a field that you're also keen on in addition. Carrie.
I mean, it's I don't know, like
yeah, like I said, I prefer it better because it's a lot easier to support the content that I want, and it's different than the content that is kind of just being churned out by these bigger companies. It feels a little bit more authentic in a lot of ways.
I mean, on one hand it can be authentic, on the other hand, like I feel like if someone's acting on their own, like it's easier for a company to be like, oh, I'm going to pay you to like feature my content.
Sure.
So there's sort of a double-edged sword with that. Like I don't know, like I feel like I follow the gaming journalists who I respect online, and that's sort of where I'm at this point. As far as like big, larger companies, like I have a Washington Post subscription, and Launcher does a pretty good job at covering the gaming industry. I feel like you're
but
yeah.
But it's to piggyback on that point, are you following because it's the Post, or are you following because you like Gene's work? Like you like Gene's work because
I mean, like I'm pals with Gene, just like in general.
That's what I'm saying. Like so if Gene Park was like, all right,
if Gene went off and did something on his own, I would still follow his work. But I started following his work because he's at the Post.
Right. But I'm saying that's how, like, that's kind of the natural progression of things.
Right. I mean, that's sort of it. My concern, again, sort of with people striking out on their own is mostly like, yeah, they have sort of the freedom to do whatever they want, and they have the ability to presumably make more money. But on the flip side, because they're sort of on their own, it feels easier for them to be sort of plied by the publishers to do or say certain things in exchange for access.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is it has to be someone you trust, and they have to be very forward about where the money's coming from. Like, you know, again, I like Kind of Funny a lot because I'm a big fan of Greg Miller. He bends over backwards to always tell you, you know, his relation, if he has one, to something that he's talking about. So he's, you know, he understands, like, hey, if you want to take this with a grain of salt because of this, and this, it's perfectly within your right to do that. Like, for example, like with Bugsnax, whenever he talks about Bugsnax, his wife was in charge of PR for the game. So he always throws that out there just to be like, hey, my wife worked on PR for this game. So, you know, if you think I'm biased because of that, then feel free to just completely disregard my opinion.
Right.
But like literally every time he talks about it, he mentions it. So like I trust Greg Miller to not, you know, keep that kind of stuff hidden. So as long as you can find someone who is forthcoming about that sort of thing, then I feel like that's okay to trust, but it has to be someone that you.
I mean, I'm at the point where I'm just like, Gene's the only motherfucker here I respect.
Right.
So, like,
Let's see. Ramarius asks, if you were a fighting game character, what would you be? A zone type, a charge character, a tank, or other?
I think I'd be a tank.
I would be a zoning character. I would concentrate on the game within the game, as it were, playing footsies and things of that nature. Johnny asks, thoughts on NRS?
NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah, NetherRealm Studios possibly making the next Marvel fighting game.
Cool.
Cool, but if I'm not saying that I need it to be exactly like MVC, because it won't be.
Right.
But I also don't want it to be.
I don't want it to be Injustice again.
Injustice, right? I want it to feel appreciably. I would want it to feel appreciably different than any of their other fighting games.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think they, particularly within the last, let's say 5 or 6 years, I think at large, they've released some really good shit. But I don't want the next Marvel fighting game to feel like Injustice. Much as I have enjoyed my casual experiences with Injustice, I am not a fighting game person. We know this. I'm not good at those, so I don't play those. Yeah, I think it could be cool. But I would trust them to do a good job. I would trust them to release a game that is fun to play both casually and competitively. But as you said, like, I don't want it to feel like Injustice or like Mortal Kombat for that matter.
Mark asks, and you know Mark is from Canada because he's using the U in the word flavor. What is the best flavor of ice cream? Carrie, I'll let you answer that question first.
I recently found a new best flavor of ice cream, and it is by a local brand called Taharka Brothers Ice Cream. And they have a flavor called, I think it's called Caramel Crunch, where it's salted caramel ice cream, and mixed in with it are pieces of honeycomb toffee that are covered in chocolate. And that's the best shit I've ever put in my mouth as far as ice cream is concerned.
So if you're talking about straight ice cream, you can't get any better than the reliable chocolate chip cookie dough.
That's what I would say is otherwise the best flavor as far as like a non-specialty flavor that you can get anywhere. Chocolate chip cookie dough is the best.
However, that being said, I am now spoiled to having like ice cream with the fresh toppings mixed in, like a la Cold Stone. The chocolate peanut butter cup at Cold Stone is my fucking jam. You get some chocolate ice cream, you put some, you ground up a couple peanut butter cups in there, you put some actual, like a fucking spoonful of real peanut butter, mix that shit up together. What more do you want? What more could you possibly ask for? You can't ask for anything.
I'm gonna go get ice cream after we're done.
I wish I could. I've lost like 50 pounds over the past 6 months. I've been doing really good, changing my eating habits.
See, now that I am almost fully inoculated, I'm going to be able to go back to the gym starting this week. But rather than make myself completely miserable all at once, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 weeks and then start dieting after that.
There you go.
So I still have like another 2.5 weeks to eat irresponsibly where I have to start seriously counting calories again. Also, it's been fucking hot this week and I just sort of want some ice cream.
Leonardo says, just want to wish all the hosts a happy Star Wars Day. You know what, Leonardo? May the 4th be with you.
Thanks.
Happy Star Wars Day.
Thanks, Leo.
Vic asks, who is your Smash Brothers main and what never before included character would you like to see in the game along with their stage? He says he'd like to see Batman with a Batcave stage or Iron Man with a Stark Tower stage. Link is my main. As far as a character in Smash Brothers that I would like to see that we haven't. You know what? Ratchet and Clank, I think, would be a fucking fantastic addition. So
I think that would be a great addition, actually.
I think that'd be awesome.
I'm mostly a Kirby main.
Mm-hmm.
And We all know what my fucking answer is going to be.
But Isaac is already in Smash Brothers.
He's an assist trophy and he's
in-
not playable.
But he's in the game.
Then give me Felix from Golden Sun The Lost Stage. Or Matthew from Golden Sun Dark Dawn. Do I look like someone who gives a shit about technicalities when it comes to Golden Sun? No. And like you could do a whole like Venus lighthouse stage where the fucking fusion dragon flies down halfway through the battle and creates like a hazard in the center of the stage. There's a lot of cool shit you could do with a Golden Sun stage, but they won't. So I guess I'll die.
Finally, Cam says, Dark Side of the Ring is returning this week with a two-parter on Brian Pillman. If you could pick a video game story or two over the years to get the dark side of the console treatment, if you will, what would you like to see? Easy answer for me. I would love to see a behind-the-scenes story of the rise and fall of 38 Studios, because that was such a spectacular rise and such a catastrophic fall, considering all the people involved. And also considering that fucking Kurt Schilling has become a libertarian psychopath in the years since that game, since his venture collapsed under him.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
I want a deep dive into the rise and fall of Sega's hardware division.
It kind of already exists though, because because they did the I can't remember which Netflix, I can't remember if it was the Netflix series or the YouTube series that did it, and I can't remember what the series was called now, but they did a Tom Kalinske episode, and Tom Kalinske is like the guy to kind of track over that arc of Sega, and they really pretty much went over like why it went from co-ruling the console market to at
one point having a larger market share than Nintendo in the mid 90s with the Genesis. I mean, I think I would specifically want to look at every decision that was made with the 32X, the Sega CD, and the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn especially, I want a deep dive look at.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's still sort of the commonly accepted myth that the Dreamcast was Sega's failure in the hardware market, but the Dreamcast was a perfectly fine console and in many ways was very ahead of its time.
Saturn was the true failure.
It was the Saturn on top of the failures of the Sega CD and the Sega 32X that doomed the hardware market. So
we missed we got so hung up on ice cream, we missed the second half of Mark's question where he said, what game do you think would be vastly improved if they just changed the control scheme or something very simple along those lines? I don't have one game for you. I have an entire market of games for you. Japan. Just adopt Western sensibility when it comes to laying out your controllers. Please. Please just lay it out. Like the West has figured it out. We've optimized it. We've done it. Stop putting important actions on the triangle button. Just stop it. Just stop it. It's the worst.
I feel like I've played so many Japanese games over the years that is my default in a lot of ways. The game I immediately think of is Kid Icarus Uprising, because I think that game had a lot going for it. It had fun on-rail shooter action and it had fun on-ground action.
But you had to use
the fucking
or the circle
bullshit. Yeah. Like it was a combo of like the stylus and the circle pad, and it was wildly uncomfortable to play for any extended period of time. And there was no changing it. The game had to come with a stand for you to put the 3DS on so that you could play it.
Always a good sign when you have to include a single-use accessory just to even play your game.
Right, exactly. So I would love to see an HD remaster of Kid Icarus Uprising on the Switch that allows you to play it in a way that makes an iota of sense. Yeah, I like. It's too bad that Kid Icarus Uprising had such a terrible control scheme, because that game was otherwise a ton of fun.
Well, that was a spectacular run of post office questions. Thank you guys very much for submitting them. Again, densepixels.com/fans. Join the Discord. You can submit them every single week. Carrie, tell us about the Baltimore Gamer Symphony Orchestra show that's coming up.
Yeah, we are less than 3 weeks away from the debut of our spring show, which is called Jammin' From Home. And it's got a good early 90s vibe about the whole show. I leaned really hard into like the Toe Jam and Earl aesthetic, basically, because Toe Jam and Earl we've got a Toe Jam and Earl medley on the set. So the show is May 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can head to facebook.com/BaltimoreGSO or follow us on Twitter @BaltimoreGSO for more information. So this will be a premiere. This is not like a live streaming sort of thing, but if you like music from Kirby, Dragon Quest, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Final Fantasy IX, Persona 5, F-Zero, Demon Souls, Wolfenstein, or others, there will be something for you on the set list. I've done a lot of the arranging, I'm doing a lot of the video editing, and I'm performing on 5 of the songs. So if you like me at all, please tune in when this premieres, because it's been a lot of work, and we certainly appreciate all your support. It's totally free. We're just out here entertaining you for fun.
Speaking of shit that's free, subscribing to the Dense Pixels podcast as well as the other TNP Studio shows on wherever you get your podcast, that's free. You should do that right now if you haven't done it. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/densepixels, where you'll find video episodes of the podcast and playthroughs of games as we go through them. And follow us on Twitch. I'm Dense Pixels Brad. You'll see me playing Apparition, probably Warframe, definitely Mass Effect here and there at some point. You can follow Terrence at Apparition410, and you can follow Carrie at SupIt'sCarrie. That's it for us. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.